Hi there, welcome back to another edition of Nothing Exceptional. This is a cosplayer interview with Kristina Charron. Now, Kristina has been featured on Elfquest's website for her cosplay there. What was the name of your character?
Kabhi.
Kabhi. Is that from the comic books? Or?
It is from the comic books. She appeared in the original Quest, which they started writing that in 1978 and just wrapped up the entire storyline last year. So it was a 40-year journey, and she's my favorite character from that.
What got you into doing that?
Into the comic book or the cosplay?
Or both.
Or both. Well, I've always been an avid reader and liked fantasy and science fiction stuff, and really like beautiful art. And Wendy Pini, who does the artwork, is an exceptional artist, and so that drew me in. And the fact that the main elf characters bonded with wolves was the other thing that really hooked me, because I have an affinity for wolves. So that's what got me into reading it. And of course, I think anyone who really gets into a story character, movie character, or comic book character, you want to portray your favorites. So she was always one of my favorite ones, so that's how I started cosplaying her.
How long have you been doing that?
Specifically cosplaying her only since 2016.
2016?
Yeah, but I've dressed up as elves way before that, and did kind of character cosplays way back in the 80s. I would dress up at Halloween. A lot of people dress up as Halloween, but they do kind of specific movie characters. I was doing really obscure literature characters, or, I never wanted to go, oh, you look like a dead president. And I'm like, no, that's not what I am. I'm actually this character from this book, and have to always explain who I was.
And since you've been doing the cosplay for Elfquest, you've also been making some of your own props?
Yes, I'm very detail oriented, and I always want to represent whatever character I cosplay very accurately. So I spend hours poring over every panel in the comic book that character's in, to be able to see them from different angles, and whatever props they have, or weapons in this case, so I can try to recreate them accurately.
So the bow that you brought, you told me earlier that you made that.
Yes.
What did you make that out of?
I made it out of foam board and leather and epoxy fill and all sorts of texturizing foam plaster stuff to be able to get the texture. And of course it's extremely oversized, but that's how they did their bow. So this is actually a foam board that I've put like a coating on to make it more like plaster and hard, so I could texture it. So it's
incredibly light also.
Yes, which is and it's legal to take to cons, which is the other thing, is that they're kind of picky about the weapons and stuff. And so I actually do have arrows to go with this that have foam created tips on them, so that they're legal too.
What cons do you normally go to with this?
I've been to the Wizard World in Madison, I've been to Emerald City Comic Con out in Seattle, and I've been to C2E2 in Chicago.
The other thing that kind of pops into my head is that you used to be a member of the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronisms. And how long ago was that you joined that, and did that kind of lead up to you doing this?
Yeah, so I joined the SCA, or became aware of the SCA when I was in college back in the mid-'80s, and history always fascinated me, so that was a big draw, and I became very active when I moved up here to Madison in '89. Gosh, that was a long time ago. That's where I met my husband. I used to do armored combat, and of course that's also dressing up. You get to create your own persona and character, and then kind of flesh it out by dressing and acting and having all the accoutrements that person would have in whatever time in history you've chosen. So I was 12th century Byzantine, and I did armored combat and equestrian activities, and with my husband we served as royalty for the area. So that kind of easily dovetails, I think, with cosplay, because it's so interrelated. You're costuming yourself and becoming a different character. The only difference is usually with cosplay you're dressing up as an existing character from pop culture or comics or books, versus in the SCA you are creating your own persona, so you have a little more leeway into being creative in creating that.
How long were you in that?
My husband and I were active until about 2004 or 5, when our other hobbies kind of started taking over, and we had to kind of choose. So.
Is your husband into the Elfquest stuff too?
He is not.
He's not?
No.
That explains why there were no male elves in the picture.
No, he said that I could dress him up as an elf sometime, but I haven't gotten to make him an outfit yet, so.
Gotcha. And when you were doing the SCA stuff, you were also doing equestrian, horseback stuff. Oh no, what happened to that? There it goes.
Yeah, so one of my other big passions is I'm a horse rider and trainer and a riding instructor. That's what my actual degree is equestrian stuff. So my big thing is if you're going to pretend you're going to be in the Middle Ages, you've got to be involved with the horses. And while there was a lot of armored combat going on, there were not a lot of equestrian activities going on. So I did a lot of research and got the highest award you can get in the arts and sciences in the organization for my research on equestrian stuff. I researched a lot of how they trained the warhorse, and I did a lot of recreation of that so I could understand the text better, because that's the big part of that society is you don't just read about it, you actually go out and do it. So I trained my horse, I made armor for my horse, I trained myself how to do some of the activities, and thus lived the recreation all the way through.
Did you bring any of this stuff?
I did bring some of my body armor and my cornet.
Well, we'll take a quick time out while she gets. Welcome back. And so I'm going to hand you this, and then you can talk about that.
Okay, so this is my Byzantine body armor that I made. I did not make the plates. I ordered the plates, but I had to dish each one of them, so I had to hammer each one of these. And this is only a small number of them, because I also made armor for my horse out of the same thing, which I can't remember the count of the plates anymore. The shoulder pieces, and this is hair from my former warhorse that I trained to.
Loki,
yeah. It's hair from Loki.
I researched stuff.
Yes, you did research stuff. Yes. Loki has gone to the great pasture in the sky, but now I have Thor. So, but yeah, this is the Lamela armor, and this is based on a Byzantine armor from statuary. That's what I made to do my.
Look at the detail.
Yes. And I still occasionally wear it. We do demos. My husband and I do demos occasionally, and I will put this on. And
you could probably still wear that to conventions.
If I wanted to, I've actually thought about doing, like I could do a gender bent Thor or something, just anything with armor. Yeah. So.
Or do like a Valkyrie kind of thing if you wanted.
Yes.
And
yes.
Then you have this.
Yes, my lovely Byzantine coronet.
You want to show it to the clearer camera on the thing?
So this is my Byzantine Empress coronet.
And did you make that?
I did not make this. This was made for me. I added the embellishments, but all of the detail of the metalwork and the stones that are set in here were done by someone who is much better skilled at such things. But I added the flourishes so that it was kind of in context with my persona, which was Byzantine.
And when was the last time you actually wore that.
I actually wore that for a demo in December for Noble Knights bookstore or game store that opened up in Fitchburg. Yep. So recently.
Free plug for Noble Knights.
Yes.
You can send money. It's okay. Then you've also done other cosplays as well. What was the David Bowie for?
That was in honor of David Bowie when he passed, and that was a Halloween theme thing. And most of my cosplays that I do for short notice, like I'm like, okay, I want to dress as this person. It's not like doing Kabhi where I spent, or even Nightfall for my other outfit, where I spent like a year really crafting and putting something together. I'm like, I want to pay tribute to David Bowie because he passed. So I cosplay David Bowie as a tribute, and unlike some of my other cosplays where I spent a lot of time putting together outfitting, you know, getting all the detail, I've done a lot of cosplays just by going through my eclectic closet. So when David Bowie passed, I wanted to pay homage to him, and doing his character Jareth from Labyrinth was that was an interesting character to do. So I picked up a cheap wig and I pulled a jacket out of my closet and put everything together and did Jareth.
And you said that was for Halloween. Right?
That was a Halloween thing, yes. Yeah. I've also done Adam Ant.
Oh,
and
really? Don't I feel old?
There weren't a lot of, well, like I said, for Halloween I don't do like things people can usually guess. So I've done Adam Ant. I did Rogue from X-Men when my hair was longer. I did Death from Neil Gaiman's Sandman. So I usually do obscure things because people like to try to figure out what I am, and so I usually try to pick something fairly obscure.
I probably wouldn't have picked up on the Death one, but the other three I would have.
Yeah.
Mostly because when I was a kid, Goody Two Shoes.
Goody Two Shoes. Yes. Yeah. Good old MTV.
And now it's nothing. I'm old. Then you also did some steampunk cosplay as well.
Yep. I've attended TeslaCon here in Madison several times. It's the biggest and best immersive steampunk convention in the world.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. Every November.
Every November here in Madison?
Yes.
Where's that held at?
Marriott West. Takes over the entire hotel. It is amazing and tons of fun, and there's a lot of people that are good friends of mine who are involved still in the SCA that's steampunk, because it also dovetails nicely.
It's all like intertwined.
It is.
Like what I was talking about, like, I don't know if you watched any of the other videos I did, but Tony Cupcho does steampunk and LARPing and cosplay as well.
I think it all attracts a certain personality type, and so all of those things really appeal. Cosplay, I wouldn't say it's limited, but the different things that you can get from LARP or the SCA is you get a little more immersive, and same with steampunk. You get to create your own persona. The nice thing about steampunk, and why I think it dovetails nicely with the SCA, is there's less rules. You get to be really creative. Yes, it's semi-historical, so you have just like a starting point or a launching point, but then from there there's no rules at all, and you get to be really creative, and that's what I find really fun. And another reason why I really like going to conventions just to see cosplay, because the people that are really creative and do mashups and everything, it's just fun to people watch and see what other people create. And it's the same thing with steampunk too.
The best part about cosplay is having fun doing it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely more fun to cosplay in a group. The time that we went as a group of cosplayers, all cosplaying Elfquest together as a group, that was a ton of fun.
What kind of projects do you have coming up?
I haven't really made a strong decision as to what's going to be next. I'm very tempted to do yet another Elfquest character. I've done 2 so far. because there are such a nice variety, and because Wendy Pini does such beautiful art, and the characters are just very compelling. They're fun to cosplay, and they're fun to create. They're not as intimidating as some of the other superheroes, or where you've got armor, you've got a ton of armor or big constructs, and God bless the people that do that, because that's a lot of time and money investment to make those things, and that's beyond what I would find enjoyable. So yeah, it might be another Elfquest character.
For C2E2 perhaps?
Not this year.
No.
That's not enough time. Because we're like 3 weeks away from C2E2. That's too close. I'm cosplaying what I already have. Nothing new this year. Maybe next year.
What day is C2E2 again?
It is the 21st, 22nd, that weekend. So 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you might be there cosplaying?
I will be there cosplaying this year. I'll be cosplaying Elfquest. Just on Friday.
As your already done character?
My Nightfall character. I'm doing a different one from my original.
Gotcha. You do educational work for children? What? Tell me about that.
My husband and I have a school called St. Martin's Academy. He teaches martial arts, and I teach the equestrian aspect, but we also do kind of outreach stuff. I've done demonstrations for Girl Scouts. We've done Boy Scouts. We've done a church group up north that has a medieval themed dinner for mothers and sons. They call it Mom's.
Really
it's called Mom's Night Out is what they call it, with night as Knight, and we use that as an opportunity to dispel myths about the Middle Ages and educate about how the educational system was in the Middle Ages, because it's not what people think. So yeah, we do some outreach stuff like that to educate, and we're always looking for other opportunities to do stuff like that.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Everybody, Kristina Charron.
Charron.
Work your hard.
Yes, they are.
This video was sponsored by Super 8 Madison East.